What's up, everybody? Well, I'm on the carpets again this year, and I am teaching my wife and daughter, which are right up there, how to snowboard a little bit better than they were last year. It's almost like we're starting from scratch, but it's totally okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make this a full-length video that's going to teach you guys the fundamentals of learning how to snowboard for the very first time, in case you're interested. That way you could just go rent a setup and then get on the mountain, and you'll automatically know what to start doing in order to learn how to snowboard. So I'm going to take a couple more runs teaching them, and then after that I'll start my video. So I'll see you guys in a sec. So now we're working on the falling leaf tactic, which is something that you want to learn how to do on a snowboard. That way you can get an understanding of how your edges work for you on just your heel side. So as you can see, the wife and daughter are starting to get going. They're doing pretty good. My wife actually made it the entire run without falling. So let's see how well she does. And you can see she's doing pretty good at getting going. So that's how you basically want to start once you get stable on your board. You can see her right there. That's called the falling leaf. Okay. It also teaches you brake control. All right. So we're going to do a couple more runs, and then I'll actually start teaching you guys what you're going to do step by step. All right, so I'll see you in a bit. All right, well, the wife and daughter are doing pretty good, so now I'm going to go ahead and show you what's going on. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I got my handy dandy selfie stick, so it looks like you guys are in the clouds now. So you need to understand something when it comes to snowboarding, okay? When you're going to learn how to skate, you got to learn how to skate. It's just like a skateboard. Anything you do pressure-wise on the front is going to go ahead and direct where the board is going to go. If you go to your heels, you're going to do a sweeping left turn. If you go to your toes, you're going to do a sweeping right turn. Anytime you're skating, make sure you either hang your toe or your heel off the board so that you can just drop that heel into the snow and you'll create the brakes, okay? So your snowboard stance just varies. Usually what you do is you do the push test, which is kind of really messed up, but it is what it is. And that's when you come up to somebody when they're standing up and they're not expecting it, and you shove them forward. Whatever foot goes forward to stop them from falling is the foot that is going to be running with the fall line. The fall line is basically the direction of the slope. It's where anything will go ahead and slide or fall down, okay? Now, I happen to be a little bit different. I would stop myself with my right foot, but I surfed when I was younger, and my right foot is more learning how to steer a surfboard, so I run my left foot in front. Binding, spacing, I'm hooked up on the old 90s stance, so I wouldn't really recommend this for anybody to learn. But if you go ahead and you take a look at how my wife's snowboard is set up with her foot position, you'll get an idea. You usually want to start off either 3 degrees out at the toes, 3 degrees out like that, or you can go up to 15 degrees. I would not go anything farther than 15 degrees, and I wouldn't start at 0 on your toes either, because it really does prohibit you from understanding how to use your heels and your toes to your advantage on a snowboard. I'll go ahead and show you my daughter's setup. You can see the bindings on that one. They're kind of barely kicked out. So that'll be something that you can go ahead and take care of. If you go and you rent your snowboard, they're gonna go ahead and get you set up with all this information. So now, basically learning how to snowboard. The first thing you need to do is you need to learn how to skate. Just like that. And then if you put pressure on your heel, you're gonna turn and stop, okay? Now that is the same concept when you have both feet locked into your bindings, okay? You're gonna learn how to stop by putting pressure on the front of your heel, on the front foot, you put pressure on that heel and it's going to get you to start turning, and then you apply even pressure to both heels and it will keep you at that position and start to slow you down. The harder you lean into your heels, the more faster you're going to stop. I'll give you an example right now. You can see my daughter, see how she's leaning into that, and then she stopped. It's just like that, okay? Now, one thing you never want to do when you're trying to learn how to snowboard is don't freak out and lose control. You keep your torso vertical, keep your knees bent. I have an old motto I like to go by. Your shoulders are over your heels, your knees are over your toes, okay? Basically just like this at this position right here. Don't ever do this. This is how you lose control. And you never want to sit here on your snowboard and go back like that, because that's going to eliminate all control. The way these boards and skis are made is pressure applied to the front makes your turning possible because of the way the snowboards and skis are shaped. Once you start leaning to the back, you lose all control of being able to turn and being able to stop, because you don't have enough down for that front foot to push and engage. So we're going to go ahead and skate down this real quick. I'm going to drop my goggles because the sun is right in my eyes, and I'll kind of talk you through what I'm doing. And I'm going to be doing this skating the whole time. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to push off, and I'm going to lean to my toes. As you can see, my board wants to go ahead and turn me to my toes. Now I have a brake foot down so that I don't have to worry about getting out of control. I'm going to balance back out and go to my heel. As you can see, I went to my heel pressure, and you can see now that I'm actually starting to stop. Like I said, you don't want to lean forward, you don't want to fall back. So I relieve the pressure off of my heel, and here I go again. I'm going to apply pressure back to my heel, just like that, and I'm going to stop again, okay? So that's basically how you start understanding how the snowboard works when you're learning how to skate. Once you put your feet into the bindings, you got to remember that you have to rely on that knowledge in order to stay upright and not fall over, because you're not going to be able to hit the brakes until you use the brakes that the board gives you by applying all pressure evenly to your heels. So we're going to look up slope. And it looks like my wife hasn't taken off yet, and my daughter's already down at the bottom. So I'll go ahead and finish this up real quick, just so you can get an idea of what I'm doing. Just go ahead and watch the board. That was a transition to my toe side. Now I'm going to relieve the pressure off my toe side, and I'm going to start putting the pressure. I'm going to go back to my toes because of the angle. But now I'm going to go ahead and put pressure on my heels, just like that, okay? I'm not leaning back all crazy or nothing like that. Put pressure to the heels, take pressure off the heels, okay? And then you can do what's called the falling leaf. Put pressure harder on your back foot, and it'll get you going backwards like this, just like that. And then relieve pressure and go back to pressure on your front foot, and it'll help you turn, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and wait for my wife to get down this slope, and then we'll talk about some other things when it comes to the snowboard itself when it's not on my feet. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this run for you guys locked in. As you can see, I got both feet locked into the board this time, and I'm just gonna kind of take you along from this angle right here, so you can get an idea of what my feet and my body's doing when I go ahead and go down this run. And then I'll talk about it a little bit when I get ready to take the board off at the end of this video. go ahead and put you guys in front of me now, so you can get an idea of what I'm doing. You see how that works. I'll go ahead and stop real quick. So you can get an idea of the body motions that I'm doing. You notice how I'm positioned more to the front of my board than anything. My knees are bent, my torso is straight, and because of my stance, you don't do this with a normal stance, you actually try to stay like this, but with my stance, I'm actually positioned a little bit forward. So I'm gonna go a little bit farther down slope, and then we'll move on to the next part of the video. All right, so we'll go ahead and talk about what I was doing when I'm not skiing down the mountain, all right? So I'll see you guys in a second. All right, so like I was telling you before, when it comes to skis and snowboards, you notice how they have that camber to them. That's why on snowboards, when you lean on your heel, it's gonna turn one direction, and when you lean on your toes, it's gonna turn the other direction. You can see how my bindings are set up. This is my front binding right here. So with the way this board is shaped, if I apply more pressure to the front on the toe side, it's gonna go ahead and give me that right turn. If I go to my heels, it's gonna give me the left turn. Now, when you're taking this in consideration, you know, you always gotta make sure that any one of your movements have got to be kind of slow. So you wanna be on your board, you know, locked into your bindings. You wanna stay upright like this. And you want to slowly lean in forward like that and slowly lean in back in order to be able to connect your turns together, okay? You never want to lean too far forward, and you never want to lean too far back. So if I'm running down the slope, the last thing in the world I want to do is I want to be able to lean forward like this, because then you're going to put a lot of pressure on the front. It's going to spin you really fast, and you're not going to be able to apply to your heels to stop. Same thing with leaning back. You don't want to lean back like that, because you eliminate all of your functionality of the front of the board, and you basically will lose control because you don't have the ability to engage your turns. So you always want to stay like this. Keep your body as upright as possible. Don't be leaning forward like that, because it'll really disrupt your balance. You won't get effective heel edges. You'll end up with really hard toe edges. And then if you do catch that heel edge, you're probably going to go flying backwards. Same thing if you're going this way down the slope. You don't want to lean forward, because if you lean too far forward, you're going to catch your toe edge and you'll go flying forward. So, but everything, like I was saying, is a very slow, fluid motion, okay? So you're going to be on your board like this. If I want to go to my toe, I'm going to apply pressure to the front foot toe, and it's going to start the turn. Once you start the turn, that's when you can lean back just a tiny bit, and I mean like you're on your toe and then you lean back to straighten back out, so that you can apply pressure evenly to your toes, so that you can go ahead and continue that turn nice and smooth. If you lay into your toes, you're going to slow down. It's the same thing with the heel. If you're going to lean back into the heel like this, you're going to lean back into the heel. You're going to put most of the pressure to start your turn off of your front foot into the heel, and then you're going to slowly stand back upright. And I mean, we're talking like really small movements, you know, like turn, finish the turn, turn, finish the turn. Same thing with the toes. Lean forward into the toe, lean back to continue the turn, and then you can go ahead and, you know, lay into a stop, depending on how far you transition into those turns. But like I said, you always want to keep your torso straight. You keep your knees bent so your knees are over your toe side edge, and you try to keep your shoulders in line with your heels so that they're on your backside edge. You're going to be sideways like this when you're doing it, with your head turned that way. If you start running my stance that I run, which is the old 90 stance, both bindings are facing forward. So with that one, you're able to turn, and you still have the same concept with your knees, but you also add this shoulder to your toe side edge as well, so that when you turn like this. It's literally this rocking motion right here. Okay? Now what I recommend for everybody if you have a snowboard and you're learning, and let's say you go to a thrift store, like I went to a thrift store and I found this board, go into your living room, put your board down, get into your bindings, and start learning how to rock forward evenly and feel the pressure in your board through your feet to find out where you're making the hardest connections to the ground surface, and just work on that. Rock forward a little bit, put all your weight over your front binding, rock forward, rock back, lean to the back binding, rock forward, rock back, and you'll feel how much the board actually lifts in each direction. When you lean back, the front of the board lifts. When you lean forward, the back of the board is going to lift. You need to find that equal medium spot where your board maintains pressure on the snow surface, and then go ahead and practice that rocking so that when you get ready to link your turns, it really helps you out, all right? And then remember, traditional camber, just like this, where the board is like that, is going to be harder to learn how to turn when you first get started. So most people will go to a rocker camber, which is essentially the opposite. The board goes this way. So that'll help you transition your turns a lot easier. It is a lot more shifty underneath your feet, so the board will react a lot faster and move a lot faster, especially when it comes to your spins, to try and learn how to brake, which is why you want to practice your falling leaf technique. You want to learn how to skate before you even lock your back foot into your binding, because if you don't learn how to skate, you're going to have a hard time getting off lifts, all right? So if you guys got any questions, go ahead and drop them down in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button if you're interested, because not only am I going to be covering just a bit more snowboarding, but I'm also going to do a how to learn how to ski video as well, all right? So do me a favor, share the video with a friend, and don't forget your notification bell, all right? I'll see you guys later. I hope you liked it.